What up, guys? Welcome to part 3 of my rant about Beavis and Butthead, Daria, and Celebrity Deathmatch. Week number 3. We going in! We going in! It seems like some of you guys are actually enjoying my rant about these 3 favorite shows of mine from MTV. This is my third rant about Celebrity Deathmatch, Daria, and Beavis and Butthead. So in part 1, I talked about what were these 3 shows are about, how long did they ran on MTV, and part 2, I talked about my favorite episodes of each show. So now in part 3, I'm going to talk about some of the characters on the show, and I'm going to let you guys know who were my favorite characters from each show. I got home from work like 3 hours ago. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it. We're going to start with the characters from Beavis and Butthead. First character we have is Beavis. Beavis has blonde hair. He wears a shirt that says Metallica, but to avoid copyright, he wears a shirt that says Death Rock. He is slightly shorter than Butthead, although he appears to be the same height when viewed at a distance because of his hairstyle. Beavis has a more volatile, unpredictable nature. His hasty actions usually end in disaster, ranging from being deported to Mexico to severely injuring himself and occasional arrests for crimes such as trespassing. And we know Beavis eats a lot of sugar and gets hyperactive and wears his shirt over his head and transforms himself into his alter ego Cornholio and says, "I am Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole." And what do I like about Beavis is, you remember in that episode Tainted Meat where he would scratch his nuts? Once he scratched his nuts in that episode like 75 times. It was disgusting, but at the same time it was funny. Now on to Butthead. Butthead has brown hair. He has a shirt that says AC/DC, but to avoid copyright, he wears a shirt that says Skull. He is calmer, cockier, and more intelligent and self-aware than Beavis. And he wears braces too. He speaks nastily with a deep voice and a slight lisp, repeatedly punctuating his speech with his trademark laugh, And whenever he approaches a woman, he says, "Hey, baby." And like in that Beavis and Butthead Do America movie, he sees the girl in the White House that has braces and he says, "I noticed you have braces. I have braces too." He pretends to dislike Daria, but he respects her intelligence. Speaking of Daria, that's the next character that was on the show. She tries to give the boys some advice despite of them being stupid. Another episode that I forgot to mention that's my favorite from season 5 is the walkathon. That's where Daria pledged Beavis and Butthead money for a walkathon. And I like how in season 6 episode 2 Sprouts, where she was trying to explain to boys how do you make a plant grow by watering them, giving them food, and try to talk to it. And eventually she went on to star in her own television series, Daria, which we all know. We have Principal McVicker, who's the principal of Highland High School. He suffers from extreme nervous tension caused by having to deal with Beavis and Butthead over the years. He is the character who hates the duo more than anyone else. He constantly shakes and his voice is strained. He goes like this. Beavis and Butthead, you're both expelled. You little bastards. That's how Principal McVicker sounds. And he also threatens to kill Beavis and Butthead. In the original last episode, Beavis and Butthead are dead. He suffers a heart attack because he thought that the boys were dead. But it was revealed in the 2011 revival that he survived his heart attack. We have Bradley Buzzcut, who's the coach/teacher of Highland High School. He's angry, he's loudmouthed, and dislikes Beavis and Butthead nearly as much as Principal McVicker does. And I like how in the episode Candy Cell, where Mr. Manners grabs both Beavis and Butthead, and Coach Buzzcut tells him that this is his classroom and he does the ass kicking. And Mr. Manners bitch slaps Buzzcut, and Buzzcut's face turns red, and he said, "You just made a fatal mistake, Mr. Candy Ass." So that's pretty much where The Rock got the candy ass thing from. Beavis and Butthead. Mike Judge said candy ass way before The Rock did. We have Mr. Van Driesen, the hippie teacher, who speaks in a soft, gentle voice, encourages his students to get in touch with their feelings, and often plays folk songs on his guitar. He has a habit of ending nearly every sentence with "okay," which was later used in South Park by the character Mr. Mackey. We have Stuart Stevenson, who's a short little guy that has blonde hair and wears a shirt that says Winger. He often thinks that Beavis and Butthead are his best friends, but they dislike him and they often make fun of him. We have the biology teacher, who was introduced in the 2011 revival. A brunette female teacher who replaces Mrs. Dickel in the 2011 revival episodes Dumb Design, Copy Machine, and School Tests. And another thing about Principal McVicker, I like how Beavis and Butthead calls him Principal McDicker, which was really funny. And they also call Daria Diarrhea. Like in that Babes R Us episode, Diarrhea cha-cha-cha, Diarrhea cha-cha-cha. That was really funny. We have Tom Anderson, who's the old man that lives around the neighborhood that Beavis and Butthead like to piss off. And I like how in the Beavis and Butthead Do America movie, he says, "Ain't you them boys that been whacking off in my tool shed?" And he pretty much has an inspiration for the character Hank Hill in Mike Judge's second cartoon, King of the Hill. We have Todd, who Beavis and Butthead actually looks up to, but often beats up the boys or asks them for money. And he's the guy that Beavis and Butthead tries to have them. Beavis and Butthead tries to get into Todd's gang, but often rejects them. And we have Clark Cobb, who's the Christian of Highland High School. And he has a sock puppet named Socko. So my favorite characters on Beavis and Butthead has to be, of course, Beavis and Butthead, Mr. Van Driesen, Coach Buzzcut, Principal McVicker, and Stewart. And I think I said Daria is my favorite too. Now to the characters of Daria. We have, of course, the main character herself, Daria Morgendorffer, who moves out of Beavis and Butthead's hometown Highland into Lawndale. She's a teenage girl who was portrayed as an icon of sanity in an insane household in an equally insane upper middle class suburb. And Daria is, of course, sarcastic. We have Jane Lane, who is Daria's artistic best friend and fellow outcast, as well as the youngest of the 5 Lane siblings. We have Quinn Morgendorffer, who's Daria's younger sister and the second daughter of Helen and Jake. Helen Morgendorffer, the mother of Daria and Jane and the wife of Jake Morgendorffer. And Jake Morgendorffer, the husband of Helen and the father of Daria and Quinn. We have other characters like Trent Lane, who's Jane's older brother and the second youngest in the Lane family, who Daria has a crush on. You know how Daria's face turned red whenever she tries to speak to Trent. Brittany Taylor, one of the cheerleaders of the Lawndale High School. She's the head cheerleader of Lawndale High School. Jody Ladden, one of the few African Americans of Lawndale High School. Mac McKenzie, who's Jody's boyfriend and the Lawndale High School's football team captain. Kevin Thompson, who's the quarterback of the Lawndale High School football team and the boyfriend of Brittany. Oh, we have the Fashion Club, Sandy Griffin, Stacey Rowe, and Tiffany Blum Delker. Quinn is also a member of the Fashion Club too. We have other characters like Mr. DiMartino, Angela Lee, who's the principal of Lawndale High School, Timothy O'Neill, the English teacher, and many more characters. Of course, my characters of Daria are no other than Daria and Jane, because they're obviously best friends. There's no other characters I like on Daria other than Daria and Jane. I believe they should get their own spin-off show if MTV plans to revive Daria in the future. But yeah, those are my favorite characters on Daria and Jane. Now to the characters of Celebrity Deathmatch. We have Johnny Gomez, who's one of the commentators of Celebrity Deathmatch and a loyal friend of Nick Diamond. His hair is black in the first 4 seasons, but in the last 2 seasons, his hair is brown. Nick Diamond, Johnny Gomez's co-host, a perceived alcoholic and the divorced father of 1 child. He is always screwing up. Judge Mills Lane, who's the referee of Celebrity Deathmatch, who has catchphrases like, "I want a good, clean fight. Now let's get it on." And whenever a competitor asks Mills Lane if they can use a weapon on their opponent, Mills Lane always says, "I'll allow it." After he suffered a stroke in March of 2002, Mills Lane stopped providing his own voice. So Chris Edgerly, who voiced Mills Lane on the last 2 seasons of Celebrity Deathmatch, Mills Lane actually gave his blessing on him voicing his character. We have Stone Cold Steve Austin, who appeared in a few episodes of the show. Like in, for example, that one episode where he fought Vince McMahon in that episode Fandemonium. Stacey Cornbread, the first interviewer of Celebrity Deathmatch. Debbie Matenopoulos, who provides her own voice, the second interviewer of Celebrity Deathmatch, and that succeeded after Stacey Cornbread's death. Tally Wong, the third interviewer of Celebrity Deathmatch from the last 2 seasons. Nicky Diamond Jr., who's the son of Nick Diamond. I like how in that one episode where Nick Diamond tells his own son that Pokemon and the Powerpuff Girls are make-believe, you have to understand the difference between cartoons and real life. So my favorite characters of Celebrity Deathmatch are, of course, Johnny and Nick, Judge Mills Lane, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the first interviewer of Celebrity Deathmatch, Stacey Cornbread. So that wraps up my rant about part 3 of Beavis and Butthead, Daria, and Celebrity Deathmatch. I'm thinking about doing one more part next week, but we'll see what happens. Never say never. Let me know in the comments below who are your favorite characters of each show, and what do you like about these characters of each show. Like this video, subscribe to my channel for more videos, click on the notification bell for any videos that I uploaded, And I'll catch you on the next one. Don't follow your dreams. Chase them. Peace. Part 4, hopefully coming next week.